So hi. This is the brushing up, the Jasper's Game Week edition, brushing up with friends, and so I've got some friends who paint the things, and they're going to join me. So why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Let's start with Hobbyist Girl since you're on the top left.
Yes, exactly.
Hi, I'm Sophie, aka Hobbyist Girl.
Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
I feel like we should treat this like an AA meeting.
My name is Sophie, and I'm a miniature painter, not painting.
We're already off to a good start.
Could be both.
Are you a mini Bob Ross?
Unfortunately, no.
Bob Ross just terrifies me now. Thanks, CA.
You're welcome.
Big bearded nerd, who are you?
Who am I? That's a great question. I've been asking myself that for a long time. No, I'm Dwight. I am intern Dwight from Mini Train Domain. If you were on Jasper's stream this week, you saw me messing things up all week long. So I'm excited. This is actually my debut stream. I've been painting off and on for a lot of years, but this is my first time on stream. But I will be on a lot more because I'll be painting on Mini Train Domain in the very near future. So thank you all for having me.
Sweet.
And lastly, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm Jacob Waterman. I am a miniature painter over on Nerdalopedia. I haven't done it in a little bit, but I paint minis mainly for our D&D streams, which we do live. Yeah, really don't have much else that's related to mini painting.
And I'm Chet.
I know you tried to get out of this, Chet, by saying "and lastly," but you also have to say hi.
Well, that was for the and friends part. So lastly of the friends, and then I'm Chet. I do brushing up here on the Thread Raiders channel on Monday nights, and I also paint stuff on commission and other things. So, yay!
And I am the voice of God, Punicorn, and I will be. I don't know if you know this, but mini painters tend to look at what they're painting, and not the screen,
and not at chat at all.
And not at chat. So I will be reading your questions and comments and etc. and mentioning my own while they paint.
Thank you, Poon.
And the first question. Oh, and if you ever see them leave one of their paint pots open, you have to spam the chat with Capio Pots. That's what we do here.
That's what Poon does here, which has been vastly missing in my world for a while.
So our first question is going to be, what are you all painting today?
Since I do this, I should probably start, right? Is that how that works? Maybe?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, today I am painting this turtle character from the Dark Order, part of the Archon the Cruel campaign that Joe Manganiello does. It was made. It's one of the official Dungeons and Dragons pieces that's made by Gale Force 9, and he just looks angry, and I just like angry turtle with a hammer. That's it. Next.
I can go next. I am working on Dark Angels for Warhammer. Well, not for 40K. These are the Heresy era, if you're familiar with that. So it's before, everything went to poo with the Imperium. And I have a good chunk of these done, but what I'm going to do on camera today, just to give you an example, is I'm going to be doing the freehand work that I do on them, painting checks, the markings on shoulder pads, stuff like that.
My turn?
Cool.
I can go next. I'm painting this thing. I don't know what it is. It came out of my Reaper Bones giant box of things that I traded a bunch of magic cards for somebody's Reaper Bones Kickstarter.
Nerd.
Legit.
Right?
Where do I get? Where do I sign up for that? Because I've got a box of magic that needs to get the heck out of my office.
Yeah, so I had a buddy of mine who had a whole bunch of mini stuff and didn't really use them, and I have like a whole huge magic collection, but I really only play EDH anymore, so I just had a whole bunch of cards laying around I wasn't using, so we swapped out, and so I've got a giant box of stuff here. I've been painting 40K the last couple of months, but I figured since I've been playing D&D all week, I'd try and paint something for D&D this week. I do have my Blood Angels captain here that I'm going to be working on while this guy dries today too. So,
Can you show us close up of the one that you're painting?
yes,
A little
let's
bit
see.
yeah, a little lower. There you go.
Also, shout out, hi Bellig, hi Lucha, love you guys.
There we go.
I guess.
And how long, Dwight, have you been painting?
I would say legitimately about 18 months. I've painted off and on, but it was mostly just screwing around for the most part. I've been working at it for about a year and a half, I would say.
Very nice.
All right. I am going to be working on a bunch of minis from the Dark Souls board game because I started it a while ago and I haven't finished it. So I'm starting with the Silver Knights.
Aptly named.
Yeah, these are going to go quick. I'm actually doing a little bit of assembly line painting.
We've talked a little bit
got.
on the channel about like batch painting and things like that. So your techniques and your ideas would be super awesome because we covered that like months ago. But yeah. I like to see how other people batch paint because it's everybody has their own method. Everything like is completely different when you go from one painter to the next.
Oh yeah, understandable. Usually what I'll do is I'll pick one color and I will completely do that part of the mini that I'm planning on doing in that color. So if I'm base coating, I'll take one mini and completely base coat it, and then I'll move on to the next one and let the other one dry. And I'll just do the same step on every single piece that I'm doing. And then once I get done, I remember which one I did first, and I go back to that one and do the next step.
So it looks like on this one you're doing armor and not cloth.
Correct.
Okay.
Are you
Mostly
using
because the armor takes up most of the area, and it allowed me to be messier.
Are you doing metallics or are you doing like NMM?
I am doing metallics.
Okay.
I am not skilled enough at NMM to really.
And what is MMM?
MMM, non-metallic
MMM.
metals, which is where you take base colors that don't have metal fleck in them and make it look like they are shiny. Basically using lighting techniques, which again I don't really do either because it does require a significant amount of talent and time, both of which I'm severely lacking in all the time on a regular basis. So, but I cheat at non-metallic metals when it's something like that has a lot of surface area. I usually just do a gray and then do a dry brushing of metal metallics. Or you know, like it just depends on what the metallic is. Like I'll do brown for golds and then do like a light coat and a dry brush with the metallic color.
That's pretty much my go-to technique for metals as well.
Because easy.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really deal with non-metallic metals because a lot of the stuff I do, I do technically table-ready painting. But I usually do it just a little bit higher quality because I like to look at it. But I usually don't go to that extent. If I'm spending 5+ hours on a mini this size, that is
Overkill.
That is way too long for me.
Yeah. I know the feeling. I say that, and then here I'll show you my project, my batch painting that I've been doing for these guys. So creating
Oh, it
the
looks all splooshy.
yeah, that's the yeah, exactly. The creating the umbra effect takes a long time. This is a lot of very serious wet blending, like more serious than I usually try to do. But when I'm trying to put something up for sale, I try to do a little bit more. So I'm batch painting these guys, but I went about it similarly. But what I didn't actually I finished one model. This one. I finished one model with everything but my dry coat or my dry brush, and then and then I use that as my standard, so that I have like a color reference for all my pieces, so they match. That's only so I usually do one, and then I go through and I batch paint everything else. And right now I'm just going through and doing the umbra on all of them, which takes a lot of freaking time. And so I've got I've got like most of my painting this week was just doing that.
On the topic of metallics, what I tend to do is I do a hybrid between the two, and I will take my silvers and golds and I will mix them with a non-metallic. Like for golds, I'll mix browns in for my shades, and scaling up to tans to kind of give it a richer tone.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I want to get something specific out of my silvers, like if I want a colder color out of it, I'll mix in some blue grays or stuff like that, just to kind of manipulate the actual tone of the metallics.
Yeah, that's the. I mean, for me, that's the simplest thing because you get. I like what you said about it being a control issue because that's really what it comes down to for me, is mostly I want to have a little bit more, like. I don't want it. I don't want the shine to be everywhere, which is also another cheat that I do sometimes. I like use when I do sci-fi-ish or at least futuristic stuff, and we're not doing just high fantasy. I tend to move towards doing painted metals. So, if you're doing, like doing that like case hardened painting or case hardened metal, where you do, I just take like whatever, like a military green or whatever your color. I guess it also depends on your maybe your particular style of space marine or whatever. But painting that and then using a quick dry brush of a metallic that I would be using as my undertone. So, like a silver or a steel color, because it allows you to achieve what looks like a painted metallic really, really easily, and does not require any major effort. You just do a base coat and then a dry brush of the metallic color, and then you can distress it however you want. You can make it as new or as old as you feel like.
We had a question a little bit ago asking if painting is a stress reliever.
Yes.
Most of the time.
If you can kind of get into it and forget about everything else.
That tends to be my reasoning for painting.
When I was painting more, because I as I mentioned to Chet earlier, I sort of stopped for a while, largely due to mental health issues. So it was a reliever of stress when I did it, but at one point I was thinking about trying to commission, and that just ended up making it seem like work to me. So I stopped. And by not opening commissions, I brought the joy back for me.
Found that same exact thing with knitting and crocheting. If I'm trying to do something that somebody else is waiting for, and I know they want something specific, and I lose my mojo, and it's like I don't even enjoy this anymore. Why am I doing it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I write
just do it for
RPGs for other
myself.
people. I don't paint minis for other people.
Yeah. And like if I paint something and not paint, if I make something and then I'm like, oh, I bet this person would love this, then I feel free to be like, hey, you should have this.
Mhm.
I want to give it to you. I made it for you, but I can't handle the commission stuff anymore. It just isn't fun.
I think a lot of that comes down to what you get out of it. So for me, a lot of the commission work I've done recently, that is not because I mean I have some stuff like these guys were part of a pack that I'm not going to use the rest of, right? So I'm painting them up, and I'm just going to throw them on an Etsy store because that sounds like fun. I get to paint them and have something that looks kind of cool, and then if anybody likes it, then they can have it, you know. But the commission work that I've been doing lately has been mostly to get things to paint that I otherwise wouldn't. So like the one of the things that I painted recently that you can see the final product on my my Instagram, but the it was the Gary Con official dragon for this year, which is this really great pewter casted model.
Pewter.
Yeah. But the gentleman that commissioned it from me, he'd already bought one, and they were like, they're $99 plus like $25 in shipping because they charge you for the weight. And I was like, I appreciate what you guys made, but I'm just gonna nope this one because that's a lot of money right now. But then somebody reached out to me and said, hey, I have one and I would like it painted. Would you be willing? And I was like, yes. Because
I wanted to paint it.
Yes, I really wanted to paint that model. And then afterwards it goes to a nice home, and my wife doesn't have to yell at me about all the things that are accumulating on shelves and things.
Somebody who loves it and will use it.
Love it for years to come, and that's really what I get out of it, is that somebody's going to enjoy it long term. So that's probably the thing that I look for when I do commissions, is that like the least amount of stress on me, but that, you know, somebody gets the product and I get to do something fun. That's also the way that I like painting 40K models. I really do. I don't play 40K. I don't play war games. I've started kind of dipping my foot into skirmishing, so I'm building some pieces towards like a Warcry army or Warcry group, I guess. I don't know what you call those, but the smaller group war games, because building a giant, like however many, like 1,000-point armies does not look, it's not appealing to me. I have a small house. Where the hell am I going to put it?
On the ceiling.
Right. Yeah, sure. So I do like getting the models and then painting them up and then selling them, because then I get to paint something new. I get to kind of get the joy out of it that way, and then they go to a new home. And when people, you know, ask me to paint, you know, sets of things, like I'm doing a commission work for, I did the Critical Role minis on commission a couple of times, and the first 2 times it was pretty fun. I don't know what I'm gonna do if somebody asks me to paint another set, because I might go a little bit crazy. Painting the same set of minis more than twice is a little bit off-putting.
See, I played Warhammer Fantasy, and I played Tomb Kings when they were still a thing. So I'm very used to painting the exact same mini about 60 times.
No. That's all I have to say to that. No, thank you, sir.
I think that's where I'm like, I just recently, within the last 3 months, started painting 40K. And that's what I kind of like about it right now, is just, okay, this is, you know, honing skill set painting something completely different for me than painting, high fantasy stuff. Just the way it looks and the techniques to paint it operate a little bit differently. So I kind of like that repetition of painting the same things over and over again.
I don't mind painting, like I said, like one army. Like that's probably the number that works for me is, 10, maybe 20 pieces. That's cool. I'm okay with that. But like the CR set is like that. It's, I want to say it was like 25 minis or something like that you get in total.
And you feel like you have to be creative on every single one.
Yes, that is the hard part. Doing an army, the repetition isn't that bad because I'm doing similar base coats. I mean, like for these guys, I'm enjoying this a lot because I'm being artistic, but also they are all very similar, right? It's not that much change. I'm just trying to make them match a little bit and work on my wet blending. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but it's also not that big of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Redoing the same like general set is a little bit weird. I don't know, but I've basically painted now a good number of my own Critical Role minis, and then 2 other sets. So I think I've painted 75 or so Critical Role minis, and I still have more to go. So
I did finish painting because I have the Critical Role mini set because who doesn't?
Actually, don't.
It was a bit of a joke. But I think so far I've only painted Ford and Jasper. Ford I had a lot of fun with because of the transition for his head.
Mm-hmm. And doing that sort of like wet blending or whatever format you're using to blend, like that is actually a fun kind of ordeal as you're doing it.
Yeah. I ended up using Chet, I don't know if you got the I don't know, you have all the Games and Gears brushes, right?
I do, yeah. As soon as I played with yours, I went and bought their set, and then I went to PAX U and I was talking to them, and I bought some scenics from them as well because they're super nice people.
Yeah, they are. They have a brush. It's the silicone head. I think
Yeah.
it's the katana.
Because the wakizashi is the chisel brush.
Yeah. The katana. It's Here, I'll actually. Let me.
Yeah, I think I have mine right here. Here's the katana.
Yep. Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. This. It's. God, I think this is a silicone head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is fantastic for wet blending.
When you don't want to add too much paint to a model, you just want to move it around.
Yes.
Yep.
I learned something.
They actually so
that's not made of bristles, right? That's just like a.
It's a solid. Yeah, it's a solid point of silicone.
Oh, that is cool.
And it is amazing if you're doing any kind of highly detailed freehand work because you don't want a ton on your brush. It's just right. You don't want to have all that extra paint. So if you take that and just get a little bit on the very end of it, it's enough to do like a thin line, and then you have to go back to the pot. So it's tedious, but doing very detailed freehanding, which freehanding is basically we've talked
tandem.
Well,
what I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
I've been watching you doing this arrow on his shoulder.
And I'll say, like, if that works for you, good. I don't think I could possibly like. The problem with freehanding, especially with a smaller tip, is if you have too little paint, it's going to dry on you before you can get any work done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest issue with that one, is that it does dry out super fast because you don't have any bristles.
Yeah.
But if you need specifically like that really thin black line that you know is going to completely ruin your paint job if you get it wrong, that's really where that thing. For me, it's a very single use when you do your freehanding, but it has its one use, and it's one of those tools that's worth having in a toolbox kind of thing for me. But most of my freehanding is done with like a size, like the size. Which one is this? The 00 for, or I also have I have this, which is a Winston Sable, size 0, and I have a size 1 from them as well, and I do a lot of freehanding with those as well. But
do they go smaller than 0? Like I have some 000 knitting needles.
Yes.
And they're like
50,
they're like
I think,
pins.
over there.
Yeah.
I have a quadruple 0.
Yeah. I've got mine too from them. The Games and Gears guys have this single hair brush.
I have a hard time getting the camera to.
Yeah, you got. You got to put your
thumb tiny
because there's nothing there.
Yeah, I think this is the smallest I have, which is a 12-0. Someone gave me for Princeton.
So it's just like breathing.
Yeah, it's
But
tiny.
With a sable brush, the difference with a sable brush and what we're using from Games and Gears, a sable brush is going to have a kind of like a thicker reservoir at the back near the
Ferrule.
The ferrule, yeah. And then it's going to come to a severely pointed tip. Like that's the thing that makes the Winston Sable brushes kind of the gold standard for a lot of folks. Is that they can hold enough paint while still having a really, really strong point, and they're really hard to, that point is really hard to destroy. Because
it's a hair.
Well, not just that, but because it's natural. It's a natural brush, so they're usually not a synthetic brush when you get.
Oh, you're talking about the Kolinsky Sable brushes?
Yes.
The Kolinsky Sables.
I just watched a how it's made for some paintbrushes, and it was the they showed how they set all of the fur like going the same direction because the fur is directional. I'm like, that's crazy. And then I was brushing my rabbit, and I'm like, nope.
So, Chet, Games and Gears actually put out a set of Kolinsky Sable brushes a while ago.
I have their Gen Con official Sable brush that they put out.
Gen Con 50 ones?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I've got here.
Yep.
I've beaten these to hell.
But so Sable brushes are just a little bit different than the ones that the ones that we were showing you with like the 4-0, where it's just like a single hair, because that is more like a detail brush. The way you treat these kinds of brushes that they do that aren't a Sable, I treat mine more like the way that a pinstriper for cars. A pinstripe brush is very similar in its design because it's longer and the whole thing is thin, and so you're not painting with the tip on these, you're painting with the side of the brush. That's why, so the whole thing is thinner because your line is made by dragging this side down, and so that the thickness of that is where you're going to get your line. So if you've ever seen somebody do classic pinstriping on a car,
I love watching that.
I know. Well, that's what these are basically the miniature version of pinstriping brushes, whereas the Winston Sables are the high detail pinpoints, which is a little bit different.
I've got one right here. This is a size 2 from Redgrass, one of the main brushes I use, so you can see the difference.
I literally just the other day got my Redgrass wet palette, and I am like,
fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Have you seen the new Kickstarter leaks they put out?
No, not yet.
So they're coming out with a new painting handle where the top of it removes, and you can just kind of plunk it off, put another one on, so you can kind of swap out minis.
So I've actually
can do that with knitting needles too.
I've actually made my own. These I've made myself
Mm-hmm.
on my 3D printer, and they just use a bottle cap topper. And so I've made a bunch.
I don't like the claw hook on those types though. That's my thing.
No, the claw hook thing, this is actually also 3D printed. So I can customize these and make whatever I want out of them.
Right.
And so that's the reason why I'm using these. Is
this one also, just to kind of showcase it, like the one thing I really love about this is that I can sit there and just twist my thumb and.
That's what I'm. Where's my other one? I've done a bunch of these without the claw handles, but I also so like this one I actually made custom because I didn't like the original design, because the original design this one here has it. This uses just a friction fit little piece right there, and I don't like that friction fit. It doesn't stay, so I'm constantly tightening it. So I put a captured nut in CAD.
Yeah.
I designed it with a captured nut right there and a little 3M screw, and this can come all the way off, and then I can actually just use I actually put my hand here, and I can turn the model whichever direction I want, which is just something that I was playing around with, and I was like, I actually really like this. I like the customization, but also then I can also just take a bottle cap, and when I go to prime, I'll just stick all my pieces onto bottle caps, and then I can just put a handle on my piece and prime it. I've just been having fun with 3D printing. I'm sorry.
No, that's understandable.
When you can make stuff entirely your own, I mean, obviously some of it I don't like, so I had to then customize and make again. But it is kind of fun being able to just keep recustomizing and making changes.
What does the claw going over the top do? Is
Um,
it like a stabilization point?
Yeah. So so sometimes you need to get to the bottom of your model, so you can get those details at the bottom without touching the model itself. They're beneficial in some instances, especially when doing really small models, I found. But like with something like this, like I really haven't had a need to change my viewing angle to completely hold him upside down or anything like that. So I think I can probably manage. But if you're doing like when you are doing like a shoulder pad, like what Hobbyist is doing, sometimes having a place to put your pinky while you're stabilizing your brush, like this, that's what I use them for, is so that you can have, because a lot of people talk about how do you keep your hand straight, how do you not shake, and the answer is I shake all the time, because I am not the most dexterous person in the world. My brother-in-law calls me the clumsiest ninja because I actually drop things all the time, but I can usually catch them. I've gotten so used to how clumsy I am that I usually can catch it before it hits the ground.
So you're raising your dex stat by brute force.
Yeah, exactly. It's more a wisdom thing. I know I'm going to drop it, so I just prepare.
But yeah, that hook, if you put your other hand on the actual holder, that's fine. I always end up my hands touch whenever I paint like that.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, to me, the claw, like, I would just end up removing it. But I do see value if it's all based off from personal preference. All of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
brushes,
that's the thing.
Everything.
Yeah, there's nothing about miniature painting that is gonna be like a catch-all. Like, having a claw is not gonna like improve your miniature painting by like 90% or anything.
I mean, there are two things that's required. You need minis and you need paint.
Yeah. I mean, but also like
or blood.
Sure. Yeah.
Which in this case counts as paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need medium. You doesn't even have you don't even have to call it paint. You just need medium. So sometimes you're not even using paint. Sometimes you're using like rock and sand and all sorts. I mean, like I play around with a lot of different texture stuff just
Oh,
because
my mind went to like gold leaf. How fancy would that be?
that would be a really cool idea for a weapon. Like if your dude is carrying like some kind of magical mace that is blessed by a god. Yeah, get some gold leaf, cover that thing in gold leaf.
I was
Excellent.
thinking like just do all of Dodie in
That
gold
would
leaf.
be super fun. I actually painted my Dodie copper and silver combo for one of them because I just like that, and I thought I remembered seeing a fan art, and I just liked those colors on him, so I was like, it's pseudo canon, right? It's fan art.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Dwight, I assume you're still here.
I'm just absorbing knowledge.
Uh-huh.
I'm the noob over here, so I'm just listening to these guys talk, trying to make mental notes. So now I'm very much in the still learning, but I guess everybody's going to be in that at some
Oh
phase. Yeah,
I mean, you're always learning something, no matter what stage you're at.
yeah.
I mean, I've been painting on and off for 22 years, and you never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's just a good analogy for life, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, and
Never stop learning.
something new comes out every so often, like every couple of months, of like a new idea, a new technique, or a new tool. I mean, like I've been using wet palettes for a long time. I made my first bunch of them, and then I bought a wet palette because I wanted something to travel with, and I wasn't always the happiest person with it, but I mean, now, so then when I saw the Redgrass Games ones, I was like, oh, I should probably look into that, and I finally bought one, and when it got here, I was like, I mean, like I immediately thought of like 4 things that I could change about it that would make it better for me. Like, I would love to have a water well that has the magnets on it that sits right here,
I actually mentioned that to them. They're one of my sponsors, just
an FYI. Yeah.
Yeah, I love them and I would tell them anyways, but they are one of my sponsors. That was actually one of the things that I'm like, hey, because I don't know if you noticed, they're coming out with a new one for like GW size pots.
Yeah.
So you can stick your pot in it, and I was like,
super smart.
it'd be cool if you because I've been waiting for them to branch out in that because I think it's a cool concept, but I don't really use the wavy for mixing because I mix right on my palette.
The only reason that I keep this around is when I get into doing the inks. This is my standard well for when I do a shade. It's a bottle cap, as like legitimately one of the most versatile free things you get with as a miniature painter. You should hold on to every bottle cap you get. Period. Because they're so handy for so many things, and like I said, with a 3D printer you can make it even handier by making a little handle. And now, because this was actually one of my favorite little changes to how I paint, because I can, when I'm doing batch painting super fast, I don't need this handle. I'm not doing free painting, I'm not doing blending or any other special things, so I just put them on here and then I'm done. That's all I need, is just this bottle cap and this little handle. Go on. Sorry, I talked over you, Dwight.
Oh, you're okay. But yeah, that was one of the things where I'm like, I hope you, like I mentioned, it'd be cool if you did this, and one of them was like, I mean, it would have to be a bit larger, but even if it was like just a small cup that they did that, I think they could really branch out on the add-ons to the magnetic sides.
Yeah, that's one of the smartest things. And the other thing that I like about having the magnets is if I don't want to use the well, again, I have a metal desk. Literally, the well can sit right here on my desk. I can attach it to my desk and let it sit there, and it's not on my workspace. That's a specific only to me. I have a lot of stuff that I use magnets for around my desk because I can use my desk front, the open space that I have a lot better. if I attach things to the sides and fronts of my drawers instead, because I mean, there's so much space there that can be used.
Use your vertical space.
Yeah. I went and bought a towel rack that's magnetic that sits over here, so I've got my paper towels, all sorts of fun things.
I ended up going to like Home Depot and picking up. So you know how in stores there will be like the backboard that's got the holes in it and
Yeah, pegboard. Yep.
Yeah, the pegboards. I bought one of those so I could hang up my tuft pieces, because they all in the store they are hung up that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, that's easier to get them off my desk.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I don't have. I actually have a parts cabinet, so my camera is attached to an old mechanics parts cabinet, and so I actually I have a couple of drawer spaces that are just dedicated entirely to models that I'm not going to be painting for a long time. But I also usually end up taking them out of the clamshell cases because just they don't fit that well when I have a ton of things in clamshells. So, but if you have a pegboard that you can put near your desk, I've seen a lot of people who just literally get pegboards and just hang them as if they're in the store, like you said, because I mean they're built to do that, and again, it's a good use of vertical space because it is so easy to clutter up a desk. That's also, again, why I 3D printed this little guy, which holds the Citadel pots, but it can also hold my P3 paints. And if I want to, I can also drop my little dropper bottles can also go in here upside down if I need to. Like this one. This one is an upside down dropper bottle that's just in there. Because this is kind of like my walking palette. I can literally fly this away off my desk and put it somewhere else. But I can load it up with the paints that I'm using. Because otherwise, as is normal, has been normal recently of my desk, is it's just covered in paint pots, and I don't know where any of them are when I need them.
And you remember to
cap my pots.
Cap your pots.
So my problem is my painting space is also where I work.
Same.
So yeah, I mean, I've got a nice big L-shaped desk, and I'm able to make some space out of it. But man, it gets cluttered so fast.
I used to have that, and then when me and Katie moved, I bought myself a second desk for my office, dedicated to painting, because at the time I was also streaming painting, and I needed to stop setting up and breaking down every single time I wanted to stream.
Yeah.
And so I have a desk where I bought, oh shoot, the only good way I can do this is by zooming out, not in. You can kind of see on the edges here, I have these racks that I just keep all of my paint pots.
Mm-hmm. Oh, from Back to Basics, that's it. That's,
Yes.
The rack I have as well.
Yes, Back to Basics. Once I found them, I was like, oh yes, I need these. I might need to order another one though.
Yeah, I've been thinking about ordering a whole nother set because I ordered my original order was for only GW size, and now most of what I use is scale 75 or dropper bottles, and now it just takes up way too much space for what it's needed because the GW obviously you get less per unit of storage. So I've been thinking about just replacing mine now.
Well, since I also kind of adopted a bunch of your GW bottles, if you're getting rid of it, let me know. I'll buy it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I'll be in touch.
That's the other thing, guys. Meet other painters, legitimately. So I used to work at a bank for the longest time, and right across the street there was this great diner. And I would go over there pretty much every lunch break and just get coffee or whatever, even if I brought lunch, just so I could get the heck out of my office. And there's a guy I met there who is a historical war miniatures painter buff, like huge.
Even bigger nerd.
Yeah, huge. And we just got to talking about all sorts of stuff, and he gave me some really great tips on how to get started with my airbrush, because he's been using one for the last 50 fucking years. I mean, sorry, 50 years.
Oh, that's it.
There it
You
is.
used it.
Yeah, I got there first. All
I
right.
hope it was worth it.
That was our PG-13 use. So anyway, he has been.
Donate if you want to hear more. No.
No, donate just because you should, because this is Jasper's game week and it's worth it. Do it now.
Yes. We have gotten.
Oh, hey,
2
hi Duval.
donations.
I'm sorry, I'm just seeing all the people that are in chat because I literally just looked at chat for the first time. Hi Smitty, hi Duval.
That's why I'm here.
Um,
Duval.
Yo, all the folks.
We did get a question from Lucha saying, "What is the, what did he say? Wildest color combination you've used for a mini, or like if you had something that you know is in canon supposed to be this color, but you're like, screw that."
For me, I painted my vampire counts blue, like a bright blue. But I was doing a very snow-themed set. Actually, I'd probably go get my dragon that I did for it.
My favorite color combo. Sorry, go ahead. I won't interrupt.
Nothing else. I was just thinking.
My favorite color combo was painting Caduceus.
Oh,
Because
our Arizona tea boy.
I know, right? I mean, but like legitimately, I was feeling the Arizona tea like combo of all the pink and teal and the straw hat, and then there's like he's even holding a whole bunch of mushrooms. So like I got to paint all the mushrooms funky colors. Like that was super fun. There was so much color on that palette. So that was probably my favorite one. And I think I have a picture of him on my my Something Dwarven Instagram. That's the other thing for me, guys. If you want to see any of my stuff, most of it is under Something Dwarven, which is the business name that I've been using forever. Because although you cannot see my face, I am actually a real life dwarf. I just grew too tall, and so they don't accept me anymore. I'm a 6 foot tall dwarf.
You're two dwarfs.
I'm 2 dwarves in a trench coat, or most of the time it's actually a hoodie, but close enough.
The nerds at Nerdalopedia call me the dwarf because I'm the shortest one of the group, and I've got the biggest beard. Actually, I'm the only one with a beard.
What's funny is my friend who actually looks a lot like a dwarf because he is shorter and has a really long beard. He gave me the nickname. I don't know why but he started calling my friend Chelsea Elf and me the dwarf, just because I was a nerd and because he thought that was funny. He was also fairly drunk. So I mean, he literally is he literally is my one friend who is legitimately a dwarf. But because he basically he lives like a dwarf. He has a cave. He he doesn't leave very often.
The more you talk about it, the more I'm like, why are you calling me out, Chet?
Wasn't you? I promise. No.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, but I mean that's also why I named it Something Dwarven, because everybody needs something dwarven. Every party needs like a dwarven thrower axe, or a belt or something.
Dwarven ale.
Dwarven ale. I mean, where's
Intern Dwight, did you have a mini you wanted to show?
I did. We were
With
talking
weird
about crazy
colors.
colors, so yeah, I did this ogre a little while ago. And again, we were talking about this earlier about like how we paint and stuff. A lot of like I don't know that I could ever do commissions if I ever got to the point where I felt like they were good enough for it, because I sit down and I decide, what is this going to look like? I don't know that I could paint something that somebody else told me to paint a certain way. And this was one where I just sat down and I was like, how crazy can I make this look? I probably painted this one, I'd say a little over a year ago. And it was just like throwing weird color palettes together. I enjoy that kind of thing. So
maybe that's just that's what makes your minis unique.
yeah.
Well, in my experience, I mean, again, everybody's got a different experience from painting, but I also have had like a lot of luck in that the people that I end up getting commissions from typically are like, I mean, I think his, primary color is probably purple, but other than that, like I've not had a lot of people who are like, I need a specific design, or I need this army to look exactly like the box or anything like that. So I've just I've gotten lucky, but I think people they pay a commission artist because you have an eye, you have a style that's kind of your own. Looking at all the miniature painters that I know, all of them have their different strong suits, but also they have their different twists on how everything should work. So I don't think I would ever be able to paint a model and have people go, oh yeah, that looks like hobbyist girls work, because I won't. That's not physically possible. I'm not,
because you develop your own palette and like your go-to colors. And I mean, even for something as simple as painting like whites or near whites, you develop your own patterns, and things just end up looking different because of it.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different eye as to where the highlights and lowlights are going to go. And
yeah. So
heavier or lighter hand when you're doing dry brushing.
That's one of my biggest issues, is that like I think my dry brushing style changes depending on my mood. So so years ago I painted a whole bunch of Dwarven Forge, and most of that is solid gray, dark color base tone with a series of dry brushes and stippling of other colors. And then I went to go paint a matching set, right? And they looked nothing alike. Like nowhere close. And I used the exact same paints because I had them written down, all the exact same paints, but my dry brush, like my preference as I was going through, I was like, oh, that looks good. That looks, that's the right amount, or I need a little bit more here. The amount, like the amount of dry brush, neither one was anywhere close to the other. So you could clearly see which ones I painted at which time, because my hand was a lot more, was pretty similar, all in one go. But I've realized now, if I really want to paint all my Dwarven Forge to make them look exactly like each other, I'm just gonna have to sit down and have like a weekend where I go through and paint all of them and repaint all the old ones.
I need to yell at Duval right now.
Yes, Duval, we can do that right now. So all of you roll up a level 6.
Not in a good way.
No, wait, we can't.
I'm scolding him.
We can't roll up a level 6 character and fight the Bob Ross Slayer right now.
No.
Oh, darn it! You should. Everybody gets to play the character they're currently painting, and
I've got the Silver Knight Great Bowman.
I've got a Space Marine with a bolt gun. I'm good with this.
So as long as they're walking on a very thin platform, I'll be devastating.
You're gonna see a lot of end game credits for these guys.
I just have some issues with the Bob Ross Mind Flayer mimic.
If you don't sniff it, you will be fine. So that's another piece of conversation we're gonna have to have real soon. Is whatever the next event is, I want to get all of my parts 1, 2, and 3 players and see who's down to take on the boss. Because at the level that everybody's at and where we're set up, it would probably be a minimum of 6 people to even come close to being able to beat my boss.
Well, Martha won't be there.
No, Martha? Why not? My boss has nothing to do with mind flayers.
Because she remembers dying.
That's true.
Still giving CA crap about it?
Yes, I am. She
You like mind flayers?
Well, I mean,
They're cuddly.
if it wasn't Martha, maybe.
Martha's cousin comes to visit.
It's just it. I was okay with the one with the Mind Flayer mimic, and then the painting was also a mimic, and that's what killed her.
The mimic baby.
Did you guys see the Voltron episode where they basically play Dungeons and Dragons?
I haven't gotten there yet. I know it exists, but I haven't caught up to that point in the show.
It's a good episode. All right, now I gotta figure out what I'm doing next on these guys. Oh, I think I know.
I'm legitimately mad at myself right now because I had a gray out that I was going to use, and I've lost it.
Oh, geez, this is a brand new paint pot.
I love that sound. Yeah, that sound.
Oh. I haven't used this one. Awesome. Death Corpse Drab.
That sounds nice.
It's
very evocative.
It's a very dark green, which is what I wanted.
So we were talking about non-metallic metals. This was what I was originally thinking about painting. It is one of the Norse Foundry was that Adventures and Adversaries, but it's a Warforged because nobody's really got really good Warforged yet anywhere that I've been. They all kind of look meh. But I thought, this dude, you don't want to mess with that Warforged. Somebody designed this guy going, he's going to tear some stuff up.
He looks like the kind of thing you'd have to fly around him and tangle up his legs in a
yeah, exactly. But he was such a pain in the butt to try to glue him together that I was like, nope, I don't have time for you. So I didn't even get him. I didn't get to even put primer on him. So
did you find your gray yet?
No, not the one that I wanted. Oh wait,
Is it
you know why?
next to your mug?
Yeah, you know why? Because I put it. I used it as a demonstration, and I can't read things when they're over there. Oh no, this isn't a new pot. It's just got paint stuck all over it. I was like, "There's no way I have a new pot of this. This is an old gray."
Probably put a little bit too much of this paint on this palette.
That's like the story of my life. I always feel bad with how much paint I waste on palette.
Because like I grabbed this green because I'm doing the it's the gap in the armor behind the knee.
That is also go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say that's also one of the benefits of batch painting, is that you don't end up wasting paint. I always end up not putting enough when I batch paint. But
yeah, but like because it's like, oh well, they've got two knees, and I put enough for probably
30.
Yeah.
30 kneecaps.
Enough good to give the Italian mob a run for their money.
I got that reference.
Sometimes my jokes are out of left field and don't always land.
That's all right. I watch baseball.
I miss baseball.
Ugh, right?
Yeah, Poon. No Cubby season. What are we gonna do?
There might be some baseball.
But it's not. But
yeah, I thought they said July. Didn't they push it out?
Yeah, I'm trying to not pay attention because I don't want to be disappointed repeatedly.
Right.
But I am wearing my Cubbies sweatshirt.
What you do is you go onto the YouTubes and you watch Marvula 1, which is narrated marble racing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it has scratched my
I've
sports
seen that.
itch in a way that I didn't know was possible.
I'm not a gambler. I want to stay, but I want to see off-track betting with marbles
Heck yeah.
because I think that would be hilarious.
On May 1st, sports betting became legal in Colorado, and we don't have any frickin' sports.
They're preparing.
Yeah. I did start watching the Ken Burns baseball documentary.
Good.
Oh, I can't remember who. I think it was John Green. I was watching a video from, and he was watching old soccer
games. Yeah. Uh-huh.
without knowing like what the outcomes were. I missed a spot on this guy.
That's true. Go back to like a couple of seasons ago. This is where people were where we definitely have recordings of this like the games, but it's been long enough that you forgot what happened during the game.
Yeah.
But I want to watch the players that are playing now.
I know, but
I don't want to watch that Cubs team. I already saw that Cubs team.
Yeah, but do you remember
current Cubs team?
But do you remember what that Cubs team
I remember
did?
everything.
I
remember everything.
I want to call something I can't say right now.
Len and JD's jokes do not leave my head. Oh, I miss the commentators too.
Amazon was running some of last season's games for free, which was nice. I'm a Braves fan, and so I caught a handful of those games that I had not seen, so it worked out well.
I don't know. If it keeps stretching on like this, we may go back and watch the 2016 World Series just to cry a little bit in a good way.
Yeah, have a good
to cry in a good way.
Just to feel something happy from what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
That's what I have medication for.
Oh yeah, that too. Everybody take your medicine. If you haven't taken your medicine yet today, this is your reminder.
Oh, hold on, I'll be back. No, I'm kidding. That's not true.
I have an alarm set on my Fitbit to remind me when to take meds.
I have alarms on my Fitbit. I have an app that shows a notification, and I hate notifications on my phone.
They are the worst.
But I finally, because I'm not like going to work and I don't use my purse, my meds were in my purse. I finally took them out and put them on my desk because this is where I live now.
I've only been so open about getting on medication because I think it's really important for people who have things like depression or anxiety to get help.
Absolutely.
And accountability is like
Amen.
one of the biggest things. Like, I mean, my wife checks in on me on a regular basis of being like, "Did you take meds? Have you done anything for your mental health lately? Have you gotten out of your chair?" Like,
Yeah.
Are you breathing?
Well, there can be such a negative stigma to it, and I think being more open about it normalizes it, and people can be like, "Yeah, this isn't just something to bottle up and be ashamed about."
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things in our house where we all have to deal with it. Like my son has PTSD, so we have lots of conversations about like our mental health, and I'm open with him about like the fact that I take medication to stabilize, and he was like, because he has to do it, and he doesn't. I think sometimes you can't see what people are doing to normalize their feelings, because if you don't tell somebody that you're on medication, then everybody just assumes that you are like everybody else who doesn't have to, So then it's so quiet, and I think that's the big part about why I love what's happened all this week with Jasper's is like everybody's like, hey, if you need to, you can just call somebody and say, hey, I'm not okay. It doesn't have to be a family or friend member or a friend, but a member of your family or a close friend is better, because that means that you have accountability to somebody to say, now what have you done for your mental health lately?
Yeah.
What kind of self-care are you doing right now?
It's like if you were walking around the mall with a friend and you're like, oh, suddenly I feel kind of dizzy, then that friend is gonna like pay attention to you, and they're gonna be like, are you feeling okay? Have you eaten?
Right.
And they're gonna watch you for the rest of the day and make sure that you're not still feeling dizzy. It's the same thing. If we share what we're going through on the inside, then our friends can be like, hey, you know what? I was thinking about you. Let's hang out.
Because it's not obvious, and that's the hard part, is that if you don't tell people, nobody can know if you are if you're going through something,
Oh, I've been on meds for decades, and I'm gonna be taking something for the rest of my life, and I'm happy to.
That's the other thing I think people don't get in some situations is that meds are not a for now. Okay, sometimes people step down their meds and they're great, right? Sometimes, and quite often, they don't, and that's perfectly fine and normal because medication is good. But like, I have family members who are super anti-medication for religious reasons, and I don't understand. And I go, hey, you know what? It's okay for people to get help and to take things and to feel normal because they take things. That's nothing to get on somebody's case about. And yeah, I have a whole rant about that. We're not gonna get into.
Well, I was just gonna say too. I mean, I was that person for a long time. That was how I was brought up. That medication bad. Talk it out. You know, everything's fine. But my wife has dealt with anxiety for the entire time we've been together, and so for the first half, I mean, we'll be 20 years in January, and for the first probably 10 years or so, I was always like, nope, we need to talk about this. We need to. We need to work through this. Everything will be fine, and it wasn't. And it wasn't until it took several years before I realized that And then once she finally went and got on medication, and you realize how much how much help that is, and that just allowed her to be able to talk about it, and then start dealing with it. And and it's not just a medication thing. I have another good friend. Actually, one of the big reasons that we got involved with Jasper's. A good friend of Jake and mine is still battling with very severe depression, the medication helps, but there's still all the other things, the therapy and those kind of things that you kind of have to do, whether it's an actual therapist or if it's just talking to your friends or being open about things. It's a big puzzle that you got to put all the pieces together.
And I'm personally a strong advocate of like. It can take all those things. Like one thing is not going to be the solution for everybody,
right.
And quite often one thing is not the solution for anybody. Like you need more. Medication's not going to necessarily be a fix-all. It can help a lot, but
in some cases it is effective for those people. But
right.
That's because there are so many different medications and our brains are so complex.
Right.
That one fix for someone is not going to be the same fix for someone
else. But I don't think that just medication has ever been the fix all, because the few friends of mine that have tried to just like avoid the therapist altogether or avoid talking about how they're feeling and just take the meds, their meds ramp up fast. I mean, like, that's the thing that bugs me about it, is that I've had friends who've tried that, and I'm like, talk to someone. Like, it doesn't have to be somebody but talk to someone, because if you're not
to release the pressure,
right? Because otherwise, it can continue to get worse. So, I mean, the key is like it takes consistency. It takes consistently doing things that are good for you, eating the way that you should. Doing things for yourself, doing self-care, taking your meds on time, which probably the hardest one for some of us, but it's not like we said, it's not just a one time and it's over. It's part of your life. It's who you are, and that's not bad. That's not that's nothing to be ashamed or worried about, because at the outset, when you first start, like for me, that was really hard. But like, I wasn't against medication. I just didn't think that I needed it. And then I actually had like I had a really serious, like figuring out that I needed more help, because it was actually the week that I met my kids, because we adopted, the process of the adoption was really hard on me, especially taking them back, because we had to do visitation for a long time. And so every time that we dropped them back off in foster care, my whole body hurt.
It just rips your heart out.
Yeah, and I couldn't function. I felt like I was having a heart attack. It was bad enough that I actually I totaled our vehicle because I was having a panic attack and wasn't fully aware of it until I was on the road. Um, so I then again I like don't be me. How about that? Don't wreck your car before you get on meds.
Exactly.
How about get the help you need before it comes to something like that?
Yeah. Remember, your brain's just a salty fat sack. It's really trying its best, but it may not have all the tools it needs.
Mine may have a little bit more salt than it needs. I'm just saying.
I think one of the things that's really important that I think we've come a long way with talking about mental health in the last few years, especially. One of the things that I still think we have a long way to go is understanding that, like our expectations of normal, we shouldn't project those onto other people. There's a lot of things that people just can't do because of mental health issues. And they get a lot of pressure from people around them for not doing those things. Like, for example, again, you talk about my wife has not driven a car ever, never had a license because of anxiety, and can catch a lot of flack from people who are like, you're 40 years old. Why don't you drive? How do you not know how to drive? Well, it's not that she didn't know how. It's that she has panic attack when she's out on the road, or at least she did for many, many years. So why are we putting that pressure on them?
Especially when she's essentially saving other people's lives.
Exactly.
and her own by not being behind the wheel when that happens. Yep.
I think the better question is, why do people let me behind the wheel of a car?
Yeah, how in the world does someone actually get a license? I don't understand.
Okay. My eldest is turning 16 in less than a month.
And how do you feel about that?
It's not happening.
I think there's a song. I think there's like a meme on the internet. It's like, hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah. My eldest niece is currently in the search for a vehicle because she's about to turn 16, and I think her mom is definitely in denial of how old she is and what is going to happen. But she did post, beware, because she's in driver's ed class. So if you see the like car driving by, there's a good chance that she might clip you.
We haven't done any practice or anything. Like I grew up in a different state, and obviously quite some time ago, and so like I had my permit for a year before and was driving by myself before I got my license. But he's never really been behind the wheel of anything. And I was also driving like riding lawnmowers and things like that.
I started driving a Tahoe on a family farm when I was 13. When I was 13. So
if you break anything, it already belongs to us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But like a lot of people didn't have that experience, and it was also really fun because my family were the ones to then ride with me and teach me how to make it work, make the vehicle work properly, because it was older stick shift. So when I did do horrible things that scared them, it was quite funny. My uncle was one of the people that got the most scared of my driving.
When I already knew how to drive, and then when I learned how to drive stick shift about a year later, I couldn't do it with my mother. She just got so like just tense, and she would put on the air brakes, like when you go And
Grab the oh crap handle.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
handle.
I was like, no. I went like a block, and I was like, this is not happening. I'm going back home. And then I tried it with my dad, and he was just so like explaining everything and how it was gonna work and what it was gonna do, and he was so much more, at least on the outside, he was so much more relaxed.
On the inside, he was screaming bloody murder.
Yeah. But I got it just like that when he was helping me. So I that memory is very vivid in my mind. So I want to be more like
you want to be
my
that
dad.
supportive.
Yes.
But then the other half of your brain is like, please don't kill anything.
Yeah.
That was the other hard part about my growing up. There are a lot of deer in Indiana, and I have helped reduce the population significantly with 4 different vehicles.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
It was rabbits. Kept hitting rabbits outside
Yeah,
my office.
but rabbits don't.
They don't damage your car.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't destroy your vehicle.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I've also reduced the raccoon population every once in a while, but that's a different story entirely.
I've been in a 15-passenger van that hit a deer, but I have never actually hit one.
Had one flip over the roof of my car one time in a Dodge Neon, then it barely dented that thing. I don't know what
That's
they made
lucky.
those things out of.
So that is really lucky.
But-
I had a friend who has a similar story, except her car blew up.
Yeah.
She flipped a deer with her. I think it was like a Neon or a small Dodge, and it hit the hood, and something popped, and it caught on fire. And so when she got her new car, we actually put a fireproof stamp, a sticker in the window for her, just to make sure that she felt comfortable.
Nice, like that.
I hit a deer recently with my truck, and like I thought I didn't hit it very hard because one, I couldn't see where the deer was, and when I looked at the front of my truck, there was no damage. A small part of me panicked and thought, did I actually hit that deer? Later, when I was driving down the road, I saw a deer dead by the road, pretty close to where I hit a deer. It's like, oh God.
Should have taken that home for dinner.
I trust my truck to not take damage when I hit a deer.
So I have to tell this because it's not entirely my fault that deer get hit, because Indiana deer are dumb.
Yeah.
Because
all deer are dumb.
That's true. But especially during rutting season, they're real dumb. Because we were actually, my first time that I hit a deer, I was driving a Ford Taurus, a little bitty Ford Taurus, and I was actually driving with me and friends home from a choir concert when I was in high school, and it was late, and we were driving. I saw the deer. I saw actually like 3 of them, but there were 2 does and a male, right? And as I'm driving by, I stop. I slow down, right, to let them pass. They get on the other side of the road, and this buck is like staring at me at the car, and I've got 3 passengers dead asleep because it's like 10:30 or something at night, and so I'm just driving past, and somebody, the girl in my passenger seat she wakes up and goes, "Wow, why is he staring at us?" And I was like, "I don't know. He's just being weird." And then I start to speed back up, and as I do, dude comes back around to the road and starts racing past my car. He then puts an antler underneath my front passenger tire. It tried to run me off the road. And so
These are my women.
yeah, exactly. I was like, dude, I'm not here for your ladies, okay?
It almost would have worked if you were in just a little bit smaller car.
Mm-hmm. No, instead he loosened the bolts on the transmission, and when he hit the tire, he went into the passenger side door, and bent it so it wouldn't open. So, yeah, it was super fun. Let me tell you.
Well, he accomplished his mission. You didn't get any of the ladies.
Yeah, well, he didn't either.
I had a somewhat similar situation here in New York where I was driving at night and there's a deer on the side of the road, and he was just standing there at first, and he hit me. I didn't hit him because he hit the back corner of my bumper. He like rammed me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I hate
I like
that.
Belleg. Thank you so much for believing that this is actually entertaining. I appreciate it.
Does anybody have any actual painting questions?
If not, I can also talk about. I can tell dog stories, kid stories. Those are always fun too. We just have all sorts of things.
I have something interesting that happened this week. Have you guys how much do you guys play video games?
Meh, a decent amount.
More than we should.
Yeah,
I'd like to play more than I
right.
do, but
So
More. I play probably more than I don't play as much as I want, but more than my wife would approve of.
So kind of going back a little bit, I've only been on medication for mental health just over a week now, which has felt great. And
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And apparently part of that was me. I've been getting some joy back in things that kind of depression kind of sucked the joy out of. And one of those things was video games, and apparently I sat down and played all of Dark Cloud 2 this week. I put about 47 hours into the game.
ooh, that's a good productive week. I like that.
Yeah.
For me it was really good because Dark Cloud 2 was one of those games from my childhood that I never actually went back and beat. All the other games that like have a sticking point in my memory, I've gone back and beat. But not that one. That was the only one I hadn't gotten through. So, to me it was a bit of an accomplishment.
I like that a lot. My son was asking me yesterday. He's like, "Dad, have you ever played video games all day?" I'm like,
No, nobody should ever do that, son.
Yeah, I've had days where you start playing first thing in the morning, and next thing you know, it's like 9 at night, and you haven't eaten anything. And you're like, "What have I done?"
Well, I mean, you've accomplished plenty.
I mean, yeah.
Oh man, what day is it?
I remember one time I beat, I think it was Mass Effect 3. I played the entire game in a weekend and did not skip out on side missions. I mean, some, but it wasn't like I was just doing all story. I just sat in my room for a weekend playing Mass Effect.
If the ending had been slightly more appealing, that would be a great way to spend a day.
Yeah. You could just say if the ending had been good, period. Just leave it at that. I'm fine with
If
it.
you weren't given the choice of basically there is no choice.
Now we're really getting into it.
Or you don't.
All right.
Sorry. We don't mean to make spoilers. For
For a game that's 15 years old.
Yeah.
I was about to say at this point,
I have a 1-year rule. Sorry.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's spoilers if it's been out for, you know.
It's not. It's definitely not.
If it could almost legally drive, I'm not sure.
It's definitely not spoilers if the creators of the game didn't create an additional ending because of the backlash of the original ending.
Right.
So it's not really spoilers because the the developers remade or added an additional chapter just for that purpose.
I'm playing Minecraft.
Oh, okay, never mind. They said no, please no spoilers to the Final Fantasy. Wait, what?
Oh,
No.
Final Fantasy VII
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah, that's the one I'm playing right now.
I need to get it.
When I
That'd
have
be a
time.
really good one. My brother is entirely homebound except for when he has to go to dialysis because he has kidney failure, so he really can't be out of the house because he has a fairly compromised immune system. And So we've been playing Destiny 2 because it's a game we both have, and they continue to make new content for it. So we're not replaying the same thing. But I have definitely had my fill of Destiny 2 for a long time.
I am now to the tedious part.
That's been my entire time so far.
Yeah, you picked the tedious part. Like that was your starting point.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the tedious part. It's
As long as there's
exercise.
as long as there's a good payout at the end of it, where you get to see the really good looking like patterns and stuff when you're done with freehanding, that's the best. Like, it's worth the somewhat like annoying bit in the middle.
I mean, even over the camera, I can see the checkered pattern on is that his arm thing. I could when it was focusing.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get that focusing well.
It's like it's trying.
I'm a very results-driven person. I need to see I'm willing to do the very tedious work as long as at the end of it something looks good. And that's why I'm glad that I'm good at miniature painting to some extent. Because if at the end of it was just like, which there's a lot of things I'm bad at. Like I've tried my hand at traditional art and I'm awful at 2D anything. So I'm never happy with the end result. But with minis, adding some extra tedious work can sometimes result in some really awesome looking things. So,
I tried picking up photo bashing.
Which is?
It's where you take photos from the real world, obviously. And in Photoshop, you kind of manipulate them all in such a way that you create an entirely new piece of art. Like one of the things I made was I made an undead like warrior out of pictures of some medieval reenactors and some bones from a museum.
Ooh.
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really challenging and really time consuming because you're doing like little tweaks all over the place. But the end result can look phenomenal.
You sound like me with doing the 3D modeling stuff. Like putting in this captured nut was like a 3-hour job, and it's the tiniest little thing. But once you start doing it, it's really fun, and then you can make other stuff. I just designed some stamps for my business to go on like letters and stuff when I send out commission pieces. And again, I can't tell you how many hours I spent doing it, and the result is this very tiny thing. But it's fun. It gets really interesting.
We are we have like 15 minutes left. So if everybody wants to like show off where you are and point out the things that you've done, and do outros, I guess. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah.
And what you do.
Hobbyist, why don't you get us started?
All right, sure. I have been working on the shoulder pad here. I did the double arrow tactical squad mark and the First Legion lettering or numbering, I should say, right there. I started to base coat a couple other areas, but most of it's been that and the checker pattern on his forearm here. Doing the blocking and then the highlighting for that. And as far as where you can find me on hobbyistgirl.com. At Hobbyist Girl on everything, Instagram, Twitter, and twitch.tv/hobbyistgirl is my Twitch channel.
Perfect.
How about Dwight, Mr. Big Beard?
Okay, yeah. I'm Dwight. You can find me at Big Bearded Nerd on Twitter. You can also find me on Monday nights at twitch.tv/mini-terrain-domain. I play in the All That Glitters campaign. I think we're going to be another week or two before we get going again on that. We just finished up Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and we're going to be moving on to Dungeon of the Mad Mage here, I think, in a little over a week. This was my first time painting on stream. I painted this little orc guy, I guess.
Lower.
A little lower.
Lower.
There you
There
go.
you
Sorry.
Nope, a little bit higher.
A little bit higher. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
A little to the
all
left.
right. Like I said, this is my first time painting on stream. So I kind of hacked together a camera setup too. So, this guy, I got base coating done on this guy. A little bit of, I washed a couple spots on him. Did a little bit of dry brushing to get some details to pop that I want to look at later. But again, this is probably just going to be this will definitely be a table ready mini by the time I'm done with him. And keep an eye out on the Twitter and on Jake's channel, because I will be I'm actually going to be part of Mini Terrain Domain going forward. I'll be doing some stuff on that channel, and then I'll also you can find twitch.tv/bigbeardednerd21. There's nothing on there yet, but hopefully in the next month or so there will be some mini painting and D&D stuff up there. So thanks again for having me, y'all. This has been a blast.
Thank you for coming.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
Well, you can find me on Twitter as at Your One Nightmare. I'm also the person behind the Nerdlepedia Twitter. I also write articles both for Nerdlepedia, and I also have my own website where there's a small gallery of some of my previous works, which is jacob-waterman.com. I write dark fantasy for fun. But for Nerdlepedia, we also stream D&D when we can get together. So right now we're kind of on hiatus, but I DM for that, and I guess the only other thing I do is I'm the lead game designer for Smunchy Games, working on Pat's World of Adia. So got a lot of things that I've been in the middle of. But yeah, also here's all the minis that I painted today.
You did like the silver and then the back of the knee and the cape things?
Yeah, so I did the back of the knee, I did the cape, I shaded the armor, and shaded everything else. And for one of them, I started the edge highlighting in silver. So
Very nice.
All right.
I didn't do any painting, so.
Yeah, our voice of God for today has been Poon, the amazing. So I am Chet, and here I'll stop for a second. This is where I'm at so far. I've not been super productive necessarily, but got my base coat done on this.
Hey, you got a lot of color on him.
Yeah. I'm just getting some basics, but overall, pretty decent base coat, and then I can go back. There's a lot of detail work that still needs done, but I'm gonna highlight that quite a bit. So, but yeah, my name is Chet. DM Luke Thomas. Something Dwarven is my business entity stuff, and you can find me on Twitch here. I also have my own Twitch channel under Luke Thomas, and I do commission work. I paint on Monday nights live on Thread Raiders, so you can come check that out at any point. So same channel, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I do a lot of other random stuff within the community. I've been modding and hosting games here and there, and I will also be playing later in the admin game. So y'all need to come back and watch that. And also, you need to donate to Jasper's Game Week because it is phenomenal, and this has been an awesome week. I mean, the over $30,000 raised is just ridiculous. So it's been really, really awesome. And yeah.
And on behalf of Jasper's too, I just want to thank everybody for supporting this. I've been involved with Game Week. We've been planning this for a few months now. Everything went fantastic this week, and thank you to the Thread Raiders for all the work you did. I got to play with Billy Morton and Poon in a game this week, and it was awesome. And maybe I'll do it again someday. But
hopefully very soon.
Yeah, I've had a blast. I really appreciate y'all inviting me on, but more importantly, I really appreciate all the support for Jasper's. It's been fantastic. We raised a heck of a lot more money than we ever thought we could, and it has to do with the support we've gotten all the way around. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what the Thread Raiders are. We love to support charity streams. We love to be in charity streams. We run our own. We also have a community of the kind of people that run charity streams, where we love to not parody streams, charity streams. It's just looking at no.
Is that what
the captioner is?
Jeez.
It's trying its best. Yeah. So
effort was made by it.
We have a couple Discord servers that I'm sure somebody will throw up a link to in the chat, and we love to just hang out and support each other and talk. And then also we put a lot of planning into our games and streams and all of that. So if anybody wants to get involved, go ahead and join the Discord. That's the easiest way. And yeah, we during this stream we raised $75. So the total for Jasper's Game Week, just in donations, is $21,495.
Fantastic.
And
Awesome.
we got a couple nice comments about it's nice ASMR, and it's been lots of fun to just hang out and watch. When you do this with knitting and crocheting, it's called a stitch and bitch. So I don't know what you would call it with mini painting.
That's what I call it too. Like my local group, whenever we get together, they're like, "Hey, this Friday, do you want to stitch and bitch?" You're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it's great to have as a solitary activity, but it's also nice to just put half of your brain into what you're doing and half of it into conversation and just
I don't have that much brain.
You can split anything except zero. I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not really mathy.
By math, yes.
Come back later for Punicorn Does Math.
No.
Yes.
I was under the impression there would be no math.
My daughter's doing fractions in school right now, and being at home, that means I am the one that gets to help her learn it all. So I've had to relearn how to do lowest common denominators and all this kind of fun stuff that I thought I'd never have to use again. And
see, that's why I have Matt. He can do the science and the math and all of that kind of stuff.
Yep. Find yourself a partner who's smarter than you. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Oh crap, that's me. I'm the math nerd.
I do the words and the feelings and the
Same.
touchy feely.
See, the funny thing is I like the way math works. Like I love me a good spreadsheet. And you want to run me some pivot tables in Excel and crunch a bunch of numbers.
Hey!
I don't want to have to do that myself.
Pivot tables are God's gift to humanity, so just calm down.
I also love data, and I love manipulating data and stuff like that. And knitting is very mathematical for me, but like if I have to try to explain how my brain understands math to somebody else, it's not gonna work.
Before we get too close to our end time, because we got 5 minutes, I want to say thank you to all of our mods. Ben is in here with us. Bellig has been helping out as well. CA, thank you to CA who runs Thread Editors, because she's been phenomenal in getting all this stuff put together, and she's the best.
She is going to sleep again.
Yeah, and she will sleep eventually.
I'll believe it when I hear it.
Right, exactly. That's how I act. Thanks everybody for everybody who's been helping put this together. And we've also had some sponsor help. So Maddie has also been super helpful throughout Jasper's. So go check out So Maddie Games, because he's awesome and fantastic. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other things that I should be saying. I also personally want to send out a shout out to Smuggler's Coffee. There's some guys that are here local, but also on the interwebs. Super nice guys, and I'm drinking coffee in my Smuggler's Coffee mug, and it keeps me awake. So I want to say thank you, just because they are currently feeding my caffeine addiction.
Caffeine is the key to having a good mini.
Yes, absolutely, because you would not believe how much of my mini painting has to happen at 1 a.m. So caffeine and being well caffeinated the rest of the day so that I can get to my miniature painting is just...
Y'all are making this old man tired talking about 1 a.m. and stuff, man. This week
Right?
wrecked me. I'm usually like a 9 or 10 o'clock guy.
Me too,
And
but here's
being
the
up
thing.
until 1 o'clock every night this week is just...
This is the person that quarantine has made me. Because during the day I am teacher and dad, because my wife has to work from home, so I don't even have I don't have an office, I don't have anywhere to paint, I don't have any of that, so I have to wait until after she gets done, and then we have to do bedtime and bath time and all those things. So I don't get to paint until whenever the kids sleep. So if that's 9, 10, 11, then I get my 3 or 4 hours of regular in the office time. So this whole thing has made me turn me back into a 1 to 2 a.m. night owl person. So
I only see 2 a.m. if I'm getting up to pee.
I've routinely gone to bed between 1 and 2 a.m. throughout the last month, and I get up at 7:30 or 8 when we have to get the kids ready for stuff, and when my wife is getting ready for work. So
if I fall asleep at 1 or 2 a.m., that's an early night for me. I am the epitome of a night owl. There are nights that I end up staying up till 4 or 5 a.m. But then I also sleep in later, so yeah.
Yeah, see, that's me. I'm up at 7 o'clock no matter what time I go to bed. I go to bed at 6:30 and I wake up at 7.
Oh no, I could.
That's a different kind of broken.
Yeah, we could talk for a long time about how many different ways I'm broken. My friends love to talk about that.
Unfortunately, we are at the end of our time.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have to have another stream where we just talk about how broken we are. It'll be so uplifting.
All right. Well, and you know what?
Thank you for having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
You guys have to come back and do a Monday night. We'll do another. I'm really trying to come up with a good bitch and stitch logo. Yeah, but we need to make it about painting somehow. So but yeah, we need to definitely do that some more. So Monday nights at 9, you guys. Well, and hobbyists, you've got your own painting stream on Monday nights, so maybe we'll just have to raid each other at some point.
Yeah, we can do like a joint.
A joint. That would actually be really fun.
A joint mixtape.
A joint.
Yeah,
we'll have to organize a joint stream so that we can both.
What's a split EP? We'll use punk terms. We'll do a split EP.
I like that. Yeah, we're gonna do a split EP on the Twitch. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. We appreciate everything you've done and donations and all that. And have a wonderful weekend. And come back and watch some more games.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.